Delta State Governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori, has congratulated Deltans on the 32nd anniversary of the creation of the state. In a felicitation signed by his Chief Press Secretary, Sir Festus Ahon, in Asaba, the governor thanked the people of the state for their patience, cooperation, and support to all administration that had governed the state in the last 32 years. While congratulating Deltans on the anniversary, the governor said Delta State has continued to move on the trajectory of growth in spite of challenges confronting Deltans as a people. The area called Delta State was once an integral part of the old western region of Nigeria. It became an autonomous entity on August the 27th, 1991, after having been part of the old Midwestern states from 1963 to 1976, and the defunct Bendel State from 1976 to 1991. A state that was created by then regime of General Ibrahim Babangida, a state that is named after the delta region of the river Niger and its capital in Asaba. Delta states share common boundaries with Edo and Ondo states to the northwest, Imo and Anambra to the northeast, Rivers and Bayelsa to the north or southeast. Delta State has an estimated population of about 4.2 million people, with a large proportion of them highly educated. But the big question on the big story for today is, with such huge human and natural resources, has the state fared well in its 32 years of existence? Yes. Has the state lived up to the name, the Big Heart? Economically, has the state attained that height that its founding fathers put for its creation, or has it disappointed many? Well, a look at these and more as we look at the creation of the Big Heart 32 years ago is what this edition of the Big Story is all about. And that is Delta 32, how has it fared economically? And that's what we're looking at as a major today on the Big Story. As much as we're celebrating its 32 years, that celebration is still ongoing. On the mining, it was basically yesterday. But how have the state been, or how has it fared economically? Has there been major growth in the area of business, foreign direct investment, and also internal generated revenue, or what has the state been like in the last 32 years? And who better than an economist to help us answer this, and also a social critic other than Mr. Gideon Oguns. Good morning and welcome to the show. Well, indeed, you are a Dalton, so you'll be talking from the heart, and you'll be really expressing yourself.
Yeah, that is like yesterday. I can remember when we were in Benin on the day the announcement was made on 1991.
Yes, let's take our mind back there. And I could still remember it was a Tuesday. 27th of August 1991, when the former military president, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, announced the creation of Delta State from the defunct Bender State. Now, I know the euphoria and excitement that greeted its creation, and they talk of a creation of an emerging giant. That's what it was called then. But you being a Deltan, do you still feel that the excitement that greeted its creation 32 years ago is still there?
No, it's not there.
And why do you say so?
I will still go back to the memory lane. On that day that Delta State was pronounced, created, two things happened. A great joy of we are leaving Benin
as a
to
capital.
Delta.
Yes.
Was a euphoria that was celebrated.
On the mind, it had great historic.
But that we were traveling to Asaba when the state is a Delta state was a big stone in the mouth of the elites.
As of then?
As at that day. So it was a mixed reaction. Okay. And they even went personal, saying, we've gotten into this because the wife of IBB, Miriam Babangida, is from Asaba and must have influenced this. Because they were expecting a Neoma state. While those of us from this end were expecting the Delta state. But only one was created, and a marriage was made where you had the name and the capital went that way. So, and from that day, from the first military administrator, Oshulo, who came in, strategies were actually put to develop a capital territory, which span up to almost Igbuzo, coming to the south, towards Ubuluku, going to the west, like that, well mapped out. But sadly, sir, 32 years after, there are no signs on this massive landmass that should have been the present capital state of Delta.
Okay, now, if you say that, now, let's look at the reason why the state was even created. It was created following agitations of Deltans then.
Of course.
Yeah, to have a separate state and bring about their full-grown potential. Good. Because they felt they were aligned to then Bendel State and Benin City as the capital. And hence, their potential was not fully actualized.
Agreed.
So my question, in your own assessment, have those potentials that they crave for, that they agitated for 32 years ago, have that potential?
I told you no, and that's where I'm coming. That's why the only way to understand it is to follow the trajectory and the history.
Okay,
as at the point we returned to Delta, what did we have? We have an MPA that was, though under-functioning, but was functional.
MPA, yeah. Nigerian Port Authority.
Port Authority.
Okay.
We had some industries in Asaba, and Asaba Textile Mill.
Yeah, yeah. As of then.
You have better glass, bended
that kind
glass.
of system.
Yes, as of then.
Bended glass, not even better, bended glass. And some other things that it was being expected that our narrowing it from Benin will make it
more central.
The cocoa pot was not dead. It was not, because it was rather even upgraded to an export processing zone. So we were returning with great hope that these little teeth that were already on ground will be developed and there will be massive employment.
Okay.
There will be massive capital infrastructure.
Okay.
There will be human capital was already in place. Like you said in your intro, we are educated. So it was just using our education to advance the course that was here, only for us to get down here. And we started another war, though not with guns. A distrust came, and it so divided us such that we became lame at our feet. That's why 32 years after, you can see that the only thing that has thrived in this state is politics. Yes, politicians, they have thrived. I beg anyone to go to Asaba, to go to Warri, you will discover that the hotels that you are calling development are built by politicians. Go to Asaba, most of the buildings you see are either politicians or corrupt civil servants. So you discover that the money that should have gone into development have actually been stolen, misused, and so, for bad example, you see a road, the only road that had been that was given out as a contract that runs from Asaba to Ughelli. That road has survived all the administrations of this state, yet the road is not finished.
So that's just a total submission of...
That's where we are. You can imagine, just one, and you can pick. I'm happy the governor mentioned it in this statement. That he inherited so much. 400. That's what we are saying. What happened to the huge chunk of federal allocation, 30% derivation, IGRO that are generated in the state, that they are not going into it does not go into production. So you cannot talk of any industry as we sit here Even the biscuit we eat in this state is imported.
Okay, now, please, let's state the fact here. And what I mean, let's state the fact. Let's really know if the state really does have that potential. Let's try and create. Let's try and create that fact, so we do not mislead our listeners.
Okay.
Now, of the 36 states of the Federation, Delta State is the 32nd largest state when it comes to area, and is the 12th most populous state in the country when it comes to population, and is the richest state in the country.
Okay, I'm happy you mentioned that.
I'll drop it down. I want us to state the fact. It is the richest state in the country when it comes to resources. It has crude oil,
gas,
industrial clay,
yes,
it has gas, silica, tar sand, decorative rocks,
go on,
limestone,
go on.
Let me just stop there.
11 minerals.
But my question is, does the state truly have that potential of being the best state in the country, and hence fulfill the aspiration of those that called for its creation?
Mike,
because
you just read out.
Does it have it, or does it lack the potential? Let's establish that fact.
Let's get something straight.
Let's
take our listeners. Yes, let's understand
on the road of our discussion.
Naturally, Delta State is a fortified state
in terms of
loaded with every potential. You were railing out a while ago 11 mineral resources that are abound in Delta State. You are talking about human capital resources that are second to none.
The third largest in the country, so, after Ogun and Anambra.
So what are we saying? God have done his part, giving us all that is needful to be able to be who we should be in terms of greatness. What is lacking? It's not like we lack any. We have the potential, the ability to be the big heart of Nigeria.
So what happened? Where did the state miss it? Because I'm really concerned about that. Because when it comes to human capital development, like I said, the state is third on the line, just behind Ogun and Anambra State. According to a 2021 data from Rodbound University, they did a beautiful statistic, one that is still acknowledged when it comes to human capital development. Third in the country. So where did we miss it? Or where did the state miss it?
Where we miss it is not rocket science.
Okay.
I told you in my intro that there is a war, though not fought with gun. Tribalism. Tribalism is the greatest undo of this state. And while we are here to try to become one, we invested our money on politics. And so politicians are having a free ride. Sadly, Delta have never had the benefit of a sustainable developer. You cannot pinpoint a governor that was development driven.
So we're arguing 1999, James Ibori, to 2020.
I will answer to
2003.
That. Ibori, as a governor, because of the mindset of the private sector it was coming from, had a good mind. But when it was made in the battle of tribalism, he became sectional. It is transformatory. You can't take it from him. That Ogara was a village. But if you go to Ogara today, competes with Saple, it's Ogara that defeated Saple. Because Africa Timber and Plywood was in Saple. So life in Saple was already coming a little bit modern. Yeah. But with what he did at Ogara, Saple became a shadow of itself. But why was this so? Tribalism. So the greatest undo of Delta State is we always follow tribe. We don't look for the best that can deliver. We look for who will do what we want. And there is this, let me borrow Nigerian language, a cartel of people who see this politics as their own oil well. And they sit on it, they determine what happens there, how it is done, And so we aren't moving. If not, for potentials, we are loaded. But the driver of the truck, who ought to be the leadership, is barefooted. So we aren't going anywhere.
Okay, now, you talk greatly about tribalism as a major factor. And if you look at it, it's more like narrowing it from a larger centric point of being Nigeria, and how tribalism has also given us a heavy blow. And now you're likening it to the same underdevelopment of the state. Yeah. But let's still remain there and look at it. Was it that during the marriage or the birth of Delta State, that those were not put into consideration? Looking at the vast number of ethnic nationalities in the state, we have the Urhobos,
9,
the Shekiris,
9
the Ijaw, the Izon, we have the Anyoma,
the Shekiris, Isokos,
we have the Isokos,
Ukwanis,
we have the Ukwanis, we have the,
the Ka people.
Yes. So is it that all of these were not put into consideration? Because why I ask, if we liken it now to Bayelsa, Bayelsa is greatly more of an Ijaw-speaking state. But if you take it down now to even Edo State, Edo also has a breakdown of different ethnic nationalities, from Benin to Ishan to different Esako, Onwan, Sabo, all of those. So is it that all of that was not totally put into consideration? Or the lack of creation of Anyoma State also was the direct result of what we say when it comes to the issue of ethnicity?
Well, I think both has a part to play. For the Anyoma Crusaders, having lost out in the creation of the Anyoma State and having been given the seat of power, they found it that we may not have our name as Anyoma State, but let us see what we can to popularize ourselves. So there was that drive to make sure that they are everywhere. Such that if tomorrow, because there was that movement, that another round of state creation may come, and the Elzad Delta might be seeded away. So they wanted to use that experience, the current experience, to ensure they learned the rules of how to have it in the state. So that's one. Now, automatically, that brought in the other tribes feeling as if they are being marginalized. And so the distrust became even more louder.
So it festered.
So every time, take it anywhere.
But if you look at the Anyoma people, they will also claim that the Urhobos had been so overbearing and they've been marginalized also.
Okay.
So they will always have that argument to say, well, if you look at it, look at major political trajectory, and who seems to be on top has always been the Urhobos.
So that's where I was coming to. Now, you look at it. Let's go to the establishment of the Delta State University, for example.
Okay.
Now, when the political move to Asaba had become cemented, and that commotion was there, the next most viable thing then was the Bender State University, now Delta State University. You discover that right there, this same infighting came here.
Okay.
And so the Urhobo felt, well, this is what we have, so we must keep it.
Of course.
And before you know, a large succession of vice chancellors
left.
No, we are Urhobos. So it didn't play well. We are talking today because we thought we would be the big hearts, we will be developmental enigmas that people will make references to. But when we started from where we should not, and even to date, we've not been able to crawl out of it. We can no longer say we are fulfilling the aspiration by which the Delta State campaigners were wanting the state to go. That's why we are not where we should be. The second thing that I think have also led our development to nosedive is the management of our resources.
We'll come to that. We need to come to that. Okay. Because that's even the base of our discussion.
Okay.
Looking at how the state has fared economically, has it really attained that position that it wished for during that time of creation, in saying that, well, it has the largest and richest deposit of natural resources. Hence, they had every reason to say that they need to be at the top of all states when it comes to that. But why has that not been so? Why is it that even our neighbors are smiling down our neck and saying, well, they seem to have done better?
Using us to show a failed state.
Well, it's a question we'll ask. But let's go on a break now. But when we come back, we'll continue our discussion as we look at Delta State. 32 years. Well, since Tuesday, 27th of August, 1991. Well, till yesterday. Well, 32 in itself. But how far has the state fared when it comes to the economy? It's a major focus on the show today. Let's go on a break.